I don't think I have ever hated a project so much. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Copycat Stitch podcast. I'm Bailey. I'm the Copycat Stitch on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm here to talk about all of my knitting projects and my occasional sewing and crochet projects. And maybe they were spiraled out of control last time, but I'm getting everything in check. So I've got a lot of whips to talk about, I've got a lot of finished objects to talk about, and I've got a couple acquisitions. So if you've watched my recent UFO Summer Challenge video, you know that I'm trying to work through all of my UFOs by the end of the summer. And I'm also challenging myself to not acquire any more yarn until October, until I go to Rhinebeck, the second weekend in October. It's already challenging on both fronts. My initial idea for the challenge was to not let myself cast on any new projects until I have fully completed all of my UFOs, even though I know that's super unrealistic. And at the same time, also not buy any yarn. So these are a couple, hobbies that I enjoy. I get a big rush out of casting on. I love acquiring and buying yarn, obviously, if you've seen my yarn stash video. So both challenging things for me, trying to do them at the same time, kind of a weird choice. I'm mostly successful. I haven't bought any yarn. I don't plan on buying any yarn. I got so much recently. I do have a couple acquisitions of yarn to show you today, but that's only because I bought them before I started that. Before I started the challenge, I pre-ordered some stuff and was waiting on it to come. So I have very little acquisitions, but I have a lot of UFOs and actually so many finished objects that I'm not going to show them all. I have a couple to show you right now, but truly a lot of them were things that I never introduced in the podcast that I've just kind of been seaming together, weaving in ends, literally tying up loose ends for the sake of the UFO challenge. I'm going to cover all of that when I finish everything, because I plan on finishing them all by the end of summer, and as soon as I can, to be honest, because I really want to get back to the kind of routine of being able to cast on something new when I want to, which is how I ended up with all these UFOs in the first place. But whatever, if I take care of them, I can do what I want. Let me show you some finished objects that I have. Most of them I've introduced here before. I'm gonna move through them kind of quick because honestly, I've got a lot to talk about. So this one is made out of Lion brand Touch of Linen. It's a cotton linen blend. The pattern, as I've mentioned previously, was in German, and I don't know what it's called and I can't read it, but here you go, you can see it on the screen. I think I followed it pretty closely to the pattern, but again, I couldn't actually read the pattern. I was just basing it off of the chart and the numbers that I could, because I could kind of pick out how many to cast on for each size and stuff, and then read the chart. So yeah, it's pretty cute. I'm enjoying it so far. Ooh. I also finished my road trip whip, the Cascades Tee, made out of a cotton yarn that I got from Knit Crate a while ago that I don't remember what it's called, but I will also have that on the screen for you to look at. It's the color, I knew it was variegated. It's, I don't love the color pooling. I don't think it's even color pooling, but you know what I mean. I don't love the way that the color knitted up. It kind of reminds me of camo, which is not my thing, but it is super comfy. The fabric is super soft. I do plan on wearing it. I think I'll block it because I don't love the fit right now, but I think it's something that will block out nicely. Okay. I talked about this briefly in my UFO video, but this scarf was the bane of my existence. I don't think I have ever hated a project so much and still finished it. My husband wanted a scarf. I made him a hat in a similar color last year that he wore a lot. He wanted a matching scarf. I started this for him during cold months. Obviously didn't finish during cold months. I had it as my kind of backup project. I usually keep a project in the drawer of my desk at work for during Zoom meetings or a little bit of downtime or on my lunch break. And even with that status being a project that I only maybe worked a couple of rows at a time, not even every day, I hated it and I wasn't picking it up. I was avoiding it at all costs. So it ended up in a closet unworked for a very long time, and it came out when I sorted all my UFOs a couple weeks ago to get started on this challenge. I was really eager to get done with this one because I hate it so much. It was supposed to be, it's called a Mistake Rib scarf. It's a pattern by Pearl Soho, and the Mistake Rib is a really, really simple repeat. It's kind of genius. It's like a 4-stitch repeat, and every single row is the same, so it's kind of like a knit 2, purl 2, but they're offset, so it creates the rib every 4th stitch instead, and it does it on both sides. It's neat. For some reason, my brain and my hands could just not get it straight. Like I could never get into a rhythm with it. I kept doing 1 stitch wrong and backing up, 2 stitches forward, 1 stitch back kind of thing. I couldn't, I just, my hands were not vibing with the knit 2, purl 2, and I hated it. It was so frustrated. Like I had to really plow through this one, and honestly I would have frogged it and gotten rid of it if my husband didn't actually want it. But he seemed pretty keen on it. So I like him a lot, so I figured I guess I can torment myself with this horrible whip and get it done. You're supposed to do that stitch pattern, literally the same row on repeat indefinitely until 70 inches. Every time I measured it, my mind was blown by how little it had progressed, and it was taking forever. It was very stiff and the fabric was very tight, so I knew I could block it out a lot, and I would have to loosen it up. You can see it drapes great now. I stopped at 53 inches. I convinced myself yesterday that I don't have to do this anymore. If I bind off, I can block it out 18 inches or 17 inches or whatever it is, and it'll work. And it did. I blocked it out to 70 inches, and it's much drapier, and it looks much better now than it did on the needles. Anyway, those stitches were so tight. He's gonna like it. It's gonna work great. I'm so glad it's over. I finished my Clubhouse raglan hoodie. It's a little weird. The color pooling on this one was very unusual. I don't mind the stripes on the body of it. I thought those turned out cool, but then the stripes on the pocket kind of turn out weird. I didn't really know how to do it, so I don't know. It is what it is. It's very casual. The fabric is so soft. I really like this yarn. I was actually surprised Tony Lipsy put out a video the other day where she referenced it, and then she put out one more recently, like yesterday, where she was using this exact yarn to swatch and test some crochet hooks, which I thought was really funny because it's so familiar to me, having just used literally like 12 balls of it. So I really, really like how it came out. I haven't worn it much because honestly, even in the evenings here, it hasn't really been chilly enough to need a hoodie. But I did try it on, and I like the way it fits, and it's super comfy, and it's exactly what I wanted. And I can't believe I made such a large garment in the amount of time that I did. It kind of seems like it flew by. But there we go. So even though my original intention was to not cast on anything new while I'm working through all of my UFOs, I found that really hard. I get a huge serotonin hit from starting a new project, from matching a pattern with some yarn and like testing it out and getting going is like one of my favorite parts of the project. Probably my favorite part of the project. So not having that for a long time was starting to eat away at me. I had worked through a lot of my UFOs into finished objects. I just showed you a bunch. I have, I think, 4 or 5 more that I didn't even cover today because they're not things I ever introduced here, and I don't want to waste a ton of time talking through all of these things that I've never shown and the yarns I've never shown and the patterns and the like. But I had completed a lot. I have done a lot of work. I've accomplished a lot in a short amount of time, and I was like itching to start a new one. And I decided to just do it. I was like, I'm just going to pick a quick project. I'm going to pick a single skein and work through it, and I did, and I'm really happy. I decided to do a party punch shawl. I had done one before for my mom years ago, but I don't have that one or have any pictures of that one. But I made this one. I really love it. Super lightweight, super drapey. It's Tanita and Crochet, and this is from Tony Lipsy. It's a free pattern on her blog. I started working on it on the 4th of July, which ended up being pretty appropriate. It gives like red, white, and blue vibes. I guess it technically is red, white, and blue, but it's more of this like purpley burgundy, teal, and white, but still it was fun. I really enjoyed working it up. I made it in less than a day. I cast on in the evening while we were watching some movies. I cast off the next day, or bound off the next day in the afternoon and blocked it, and 24 hours after that it was dry and ready to go. And I really like it, and it's really cute, and I don't know how much use I'll get out of such an open weave scarf. It is wool, but it was fun, and it definitely scratched that itch for me, and I don't feel like I need to cast on a ton of stuff right now. I have a little wiggle room to move forward and keep working on the whips that I have been working on, which I'll show you soon. I've made a ton of progress, but I was happy to be able to do something new and use a precious skein of yarn that you might recognize from my road trip video in the last podcast. And I did one more new project technically, but this took like 2 hours, so I don't think it counts. But I had a bunch of this Hobie Rainbow. It's fingering weight cotton, and I have a whole set that my mom gave me for Christmas in a bunch of different colors, but it came with 2 of each color, and I decided to use them. I think ultimately I only used about 1 ball worth, but I held it double, so I used half of each. I don't know what color this is because Hobie doesn't usually put it's color 11. I don't know. It's print version, 8/4 cotton print version, color 11. It's all these pretty variegated teals. And a colleague of mine is retiring, and I'm going to be really sad. I enjoy talking to her a lot, and I bought her a gift, a coffee mug, as like a going away present, and I thought, wouldn't it be cute if I crocheted a couple coasters to go with it that kind of match. So these are from Two of Wands, Alexandra Tavel. I don't remember what they're called, but you can see it on the screen. I made a set of 4. Like I said, each coaster took about half an hour, super quick. Just made them up in the evening, the day I decided to do them. And as soon as the gift I bought her comes, I'll wrap them up all cute and give them to her before she retires. I'm gonna be so sad. Okay, let's talk whips, and let's do them quicker. I said I was going to be quick about the FOs, and I kind of wasn't. I'm taking a lot of time. You've seen most of these whips before, but I made progress on a couple of them, and then there's 2 that I've been working on for a long time, but I've never introduced here. So first of all, the one I've been doing most the last couple of days is my Yorkville wrap. Yesterday, I finally finished the 2 symmetrical halves, and I started to join them. So, oof, this is tangled, sorry. So you can see I've started the join here. They kind of look like pants. They're totally not pants. It is a symmetrical V-shaped shawl wrap. I made it out of holding Hobie Diablo Double. It's the colorway Oyster. And it's really pretty, really warm see-through wrap. And like ultimately, oops, like don't put it on your hair, but well, I guess you can do whatever you want. It'll go like this. I'm making it for a wedding that I'm going to be in, so I want to wear this with my bridesmaid's dress if it's cold. It might not be cold, but if I need it, I'll be glad to have it. It's got the lace pattern at both ends. I know I've shown the individual panels before, but now that they're one piece, I can actually try it on, and these dogs will be the death of me. It's really warm, actually. Like, I'm glad. I like the like light. It like looks so lightweight and airy, but it's actually really cozy. All right, another one that I've made progress on, maybe less progress, but I have been chipping away at it, is this jute stitch blanket from Pearl Soho. Moving along, as I've described before, you kind of do 1 part solid, 2 parts dual color, 2 color tone, I don't know, whatever, and then 3 parts of just the second color. So I'm very close. I'm only a couple rows away from finishing this section, and then I'm going to move on to just this, where is it? This like orangey, rusty brown color, which is Lion Brand Jeans in the colorway Top Stitch. So So then after this is about half of the size of the blanket, and then I'm going to do another amount this tall of just the single color stitch like this, but in the rust color. Alright, here's the last whip that you've seen before, but I've been enjoying it more lately. This was kind of my prediction in my UFO video that I would end up working on this one more, because after I start knocking out the easy UFOs, this is going to be the one that I actually enjoy more, and it has been. This is my Honey Bop. It's a cardigan. It's like a vintage style cardigan from Poison Girls, and the yarn is the super pretty Catalina colorway from the Sorella Sun Soaked collection that came out last year. Oh, look who's here. I've got some really cute stitch markers on it, by the way, from Jackie Bean that I showed in a previous podcast. I love them. And as I show you the black cat marker, my real life black cat has come to intrude on the podcast once again. That's okay. So, just moving along on this one, doing some steady decreases kind of in the underarm area, but it's moving along, and every row is quicker than the last when it's decreases, which I always appreciate. So this one I've actually had as a whip for literally like the last couple months, but I keep forgetting to talk about it on the podcast because it's kept in a weird spot in my dining room and I keep forgetting. So it's a basket. It's actually able to visualize it more easily now. For a while it kind of just looked like a weird uneven rectangle, but it's going to be a basket. It's from Drops Designs, the pattern is, and it's called like Farmer's Basket or something like that. So you have to imagine that the bottom will be like stitched together and cinched up, and it'll be flat like a flower pot. Think of it as a big garter stitch flower pot. I actually made one modification to this pattern, and that is that I doubled it. That I didn't want such a small basket when I finished. I wanted a much bigger one. So I doubled the stitch count, and I've doubled the distance between the decreases, or I guess not decreases, they're like short rows. That's how you make the shaping. It's so much bigger at the top than it is at the bottom. The bottom is 1/4 of the rows that the top is because of the 3 short row repeat before you go back all the way across every time. So I doubled the distance between the short row turns, and it's working just fine. I mean, it's exactly the shape it should be. It is a slog. It's tight. It's supposed to be tight because it's a very structured item when it's finished. So the garter stitch is super, like the needles are really too small for this yarn, which I should say is Hue and Me from Lion Brand. So it's really stiff, which is the point, so it'll stand up when it's a finished basket. But for now, it's kind of hard on the hands. I never really want to do more than a couple repeats at a time because it is hard to keep tension on heavy yarn on small needles and not have, sore hands. All right. And here's another one that I've had for a long time. This one, like I was talking about earlier, that scarf that I couldn't stand used to be kind of my backup project that I kept in my drawer at work. This one has been that project for a while, except I was barely working on it at work and kind of just forgot about it and very seldom had a chance to chip at it. So this is the Gumdrop pullover. It's from an issue of Crochet Foundry. I don't remember the designer, but I can pop that in the bottom here. It's very close to done. I don't know if you can see, but it's done all in one piece. So it was a slog to get through, the rows where I had to go all the way across from cuff to cuff. Like, that was difficult to work through, but I got there, and now I just have, a few, maybe 6 more inches before I get to the ribbing at the bottom. And then there's probably some finishing at the collar and the cuffs and seaming together, but this one is very close to being done. This is made of the same Hobie 8/4 cotton. It is, I guess it was a Black Friday special. It's just a gray color. It says color 21. No, just kidding, color 7. The lot number is 21. But it'll soften up a lot. Right now it's a bit stiff, but I know after like one washing it'll really soften up and be this nice, like, airy cotton long sleeve garment. Good for warm weather. It would be nice if I could finish it while I still have warm weather, but you know, hopefully. I have been working on it lately. This is one of the UFOs that I've chosen to actually work on, so I have faith. So, like I said, I have a ton more UFOs. I'm staring at them right now. I'm not ignoring you. I'm staring at this horrible bin full of UFOs that I have to get to. Some of them are not so bad. Some of them are sewing projects that I just need to take a day and work through these partial sewing projects that really won't take that long to finish up. Some of them are basically whole projects that I barely started, or sweaters that just need a sleeve or two. You know, I'm sure you'll see them as I work through them here, or if not, at least in the UFO wrap-up video that I will issue when I finish all of my UFOs within the next couple months. So there are a couple projects that I'm really keen to start once I am able to wrap up more of my UFOs and have the freedom to start some new projects. There's some sewing projects that I'm going to work on in the meantime that I am not counting because I don't do as much sewing and it's a quicker process anyway. I'm definitely going to do videos about those. I'm pretty excited about some of them, so you'll see those coming up. But for the most part, I've got a handful of things in my Ravelry queue that I cannot wait. I mean, I can, I'm waiting, but in my heart, it hurts me to wait to cast on for these things that I'm going to start ultimately at the end of summer or in the fall once I've wrapped up on all these things. So bear with me because I'm going to have a lot of finished objects coming up and then it's going to be a whole lot of cast-ons. Okay, so I have a couple acquisitions that I want to show you. The first is, I mean, this is just from eBay, but I've mentioned before, I really love vintage nylon circular knitting needles. They're my favorite ones. I didn't realize this was sealed inside this package. So I check eBay occasionally for lots of multiple vintage circulars because they're my favorites. And as I've also mentioned, my dog does tend to chew them up if she can get her paws on them, which I do my best to keep them away from her, but every so often she does destroy some, so it's always in my interest to have a stash of them and back them up. And there's a finite amount in the world, so anytime I can get a good deal on a couple of them, I'm going to pick them up. Alright, I have kind of a big one. So like I said, this was something that I pre-ordered before I decided I was not going to acquire yarn for a few months. So these were things that were already in the mail, or in the works anyway. This is one big order from Yarnaceous Fibers. I love them. One of my favorite dyers. So this is just a little mini set that she had on her website from a previous club or something that she did, but super cute. I love these tones, and since I was doing a larger order anyway, I just decided to pick it up. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these minis. I'll think of something. And again, since I was already doing an order, I decided to pick up these. This is, the base is Lambia worsted, and there's only 2 hanks left, so that's what I got. And I got that because the colorway is called Stegosaurus, which I think I've mentioned before, but Stegosaurus is my favorite animal. I have a lot of them. I've collected them. I've got a tattoo of them. They're my favorite. So the opportunity to get yarn that's named after, you know, my favorite animal, I couldn't resist, especially because it's not as common of an animal to find for something like this. So I don't know what I'll do with them, but I love the dyer. I love the name of the colorway. And it's really pretty on top of that, so it's perfect. Okay, so the reason I was doing an order from Yarnaceous Fibers anyway was because I did the pre-order for the Fossil Frenzy tea kit. It's such a cool pattern. Like I just mentioned, I love Stegosauruses, I love dinosaurs, and this really pretty colorwork t-shirt pattern was just recently released. So I pre-ordered these colorways to make the t-shirt. It's a fingering weight colorwork knit, which is, fingering is not my favorite. It takes a long time. I'm not a particularly patient person, but I can do it in circumstances where I love the yarn and I'm excited to have the finished object, like with my Honey Bop cardigan. In this case, I couldn't resist. Like, the pattern is too perfect for me, even if the process is not ideal. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna work on my color work. I'm gonna work through it because it's gonna be something so like enjoyable for me once it's done. So I got these from Yarnaceous to make it. So this one is called Dryosaurus, this like purple color, and there's so many beautiful speckles and colors. Like there's a lot of little bursts of this pale yellow and like magenta in there. I love it. This is the main color, so I got 4 of these, and then I got one of the contrast color, which is called Beak. It's so pretty. I don't know, it's like this pale mustard kind of green tinged color, and they're both on her Salta fingering base. I'm very excited to start work on this. This is probably going to be the first thing that I cast on when I finally wrap up my UFO challenge and can start working on new stuff. Annie's in my finished objects bin. Great. Okay. Excuse me, ma'am. No, it's not a cat bed. I know it looks like a cat bed, but I actually worked really hard on these, so please don't. All right, and then one more thing I wanted to show you. I think I went over this on a previous podcast, but my local yarn store is called Nitty Gritty Yarns, and they do, it's not a subscription box, but it's kind of like a curated surprise box every so often, and you can sign up and order them and then pick them up in store or have them shipped if you're not from around here. And that's what I do every time. So it's the store's 5th anniversary, and she did a wood themed box because the 5th anniversary is the wood anniversary traditionally. So let me just show you what I got. I mean, like, I didn't wait. This is not an unboxing. I already opened it all because I was way too excited. But it's really cute. Everything has like this kind of tree wood theme. And it came with a little stitch marker that's a tree and a bunch of other, you know, you can never have enough of these light bulb shaped safety pin ones. I have a billion and I always want more. This soap, I was hoping for more information. There's no like cheat sheet or card in here that tells you where all the items came from or what they are. It smells really good. I assume it's some sort of like goat's milk soap or sheep's milk soap or something because it's like a wool store. But I don't know. Little tape measure. You can never have too many of those. It's nice to have one in like every project bag, especially for travel. And there's a few little notions here that are all made of wood, as is the theme. So this is just a cedar block with their logo on it. It's from Katrinkles, but I love it. It smells so good. I love cedar. So I'll just kind of leave it near my yarn for a little extra protection. Not that I don't have a million cedar blocks in them already, but still. A little wooden shawl pin. That's just a rubber band to keep it in the package, but which is pretty. This really unique button, which I imagine you would put on like some shawl or capelet or something in the winter time to kind of hold it. It kind of reminds me of that like green metal pin from Lord of the Rings. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I won't do that. It's kind of not my thing, but still, I'll find something for it. It's a really unique button. And then this little teeny ebony repair hook from Lantern Moon. Oh, it's really hard to get out of the package. I'm not going to be able to get it out right now, but little teeny repair hook to have like in a project bag when you're on the road to repair if you have to, which lately I feel like I've been laddering down really far because I discover mistakes that I made a really long time ago. So actually pretty handy to have. And then these are the yarns that came with it. I vibe this color set so hard. Like I love these. This is a local dyer called Yarn Cook. And there are 5 colorways here. It is 20 grams of fingering in each one. So it's 100 grams total. This is definitely going to have to be some sort of shawl, or even I could use them like just for like a t-shirt or a sweater that has like striped color work. I don't know, it'll probably be a shawl. I'm kind of a shawl person. I love them so much. There's 2 shades of brown. It's like really soft purpley blue, bright pink, and this like vibrant, like verdant green. Oh, I love them. And they're super soft already for what they are. I think it says 80-20 merino nylon, so I guess they're like a soft yarn, but I very much am enjoying these and looking forward to using them. And as always, the Knitty Fix comes with both a knit pattern and a crochet pattern. breed that is suitable for the yarn that comes in the box. All right, thanks for sticking around. I feel like I got through so much talking today. I'm gonna keep plowing through my UFOs. I'm gonna keep watching the X-Files while I do it because I dig a theme. And I'll check back with you in a few weeks when I have fewer whips and more finished objects and hopefully not too many acquisitions, but who knows what's gonna happen. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.